Hi everyone, welcome back to Movie of the Week. And the movie this week was Spider-Man from 2002, so if you want to watch it now. If you're new here to Movie of the Week, I'm doing a movie every week. And so in 2024, we're doing like franchises and reboots. So we're actually going to do 4 different Spider-Man movies. This is the first. I don't want to reveal which Spider-Man movies we're doing, going forward. I'll reveal at the end of this video the next Spider-Man movie, just because like there's so many different ones and different actors, and so there's the importance of like how I picked the Spider-Man movie. So this is the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie. So if you haven't watched that, watch it now. Just make sure you watch the right one from 2002. So technically this is like a Spider-Man origin movie. Like it shows how he became Spider-Man. He was like a nerdy guy. He was in love with the girl next door, and then he gets bitten by a spider and his entire world changes. And it's kind of interesting too, because you see how poor he is, and like that's kind of a factor into like his decision making, and then the whole thing where he like decides to compete in that thing, and then he's mad at the guy for not giving his money, so then he lets the guy robbing them go, and then that's the guy who killed his uncle. It seems a little bit like coincidental there. And also like the whole like fighting thing, was that like really necessary? Like could they think of something else? Like I don't know, it just like doesn't fit right with like superhero movies. It just like feels a little bit bizarre. Also, something I was seeing online, like he was like shooting spider webs at high school, and like no one thought he was Spider-Man. Also, that classic scene in the lunchroom where MJ like starts falling, and then the food's out in the air, and then Tobey Maguire catches it. Like they supposedly had to do that scene so many times because they didn't use CGI. So it's crazy they didn't use CGI. And then just like watching this movie that's like over 20 years old, it's like crazy like what they didn't do with CGI, and how like some like the last fight scene, it kind of looks like very much like a stage play. It's just like, but like they had to still have a big budget because of like so many things that were done in this movie. Also, like James Franco as William Dafoe's son just like doesn't make sense. Yeah, so William Dafoe's character, am I saying it right? Willem or William? I don't know, guys, I'm sorry. But he was like a good person who was just a scientist, and then he was being pushed to finish something, so then he went into it when it wasn't done, and so it kind of changed his personality and made him into this thing. And really he would have been fine, but then he went after the people who were trying to cause him out, and so Spider-Man was after him, so then he wanted to end Spider-Man. And so it's like, that's the thing with superhero movies, when it's not like revealed who it is, like trying to find out this identity is like something interesting with superhero movies. It's always like, ooh, who is it, the identity, and then like finally a character finally knowing it's him. It's like this huge thing, I feel like, always in superhero movies. So he finds out it's Peter Parker. But it's kind of interesting how like Spider-Man's going around and saving people, and then like he wants a job, so he like takes good pictures of himself and then gives it a newspaper, and then the newspaper, they kind of just like want to sell more newspapers, so then they have like headlines that saying like he's not necessarily a good person. And that's so crazy how like the public like changes on him just because like some Newsline articles like say he might not be a good person. It's like crazy. It's like he's doing all these like good things, and you guys are just like questioning it. Like it's I just think like that's so relevant today. It's just people like see something and they don't actually be educated, and then they make assumptions and they're saying like really bad things. I'm not going to go into that because people are going to hate on me, my views and whatever else. So anyway, but yeah, so it's kind of crazy, kind of like the last scene where like the tram and so it actually feels very, very New York. I feel like they're kind of like the suburbs of Queens. Like I grew up in Manhattan. I live in Astoria, Queens now, which is like the part of Queens that's kind of closest to Manhattan, and it still kind of feels a lot like the city in a way, but there's like but Queens is huge, so there's a lot of parts of Queens that are a little bit more suburban, and that kind of feels like this for Spider-Man. Which is why they're like, oh, I want to live in the city, and when it's like technically you do live in the city, but you mean Manhattan. Anyway, I grew up in Manhattan right by the 59th Street Bridge. That's not actually what it's called. A lot of people call it 59th Street Bridge, but it has a different name. So I grew up by that bridge, and like the tram was there, but I was trying to think like the tram being on that side doesn't make sense because that means he was in Manhattan, but I thought he was like in Queens. So like the way that the tram, I don't know, I don't also know if they filmed this in New York. I don't know. It takes place in New York. I don't know if it's filmed in New York. Should do my research. But anyway, it's crazy that he has to like save the tram and he has to save Mary Jane. Is it Mary Jane? MJ? I don't know. But then he's able to save them all. And so then at the end, it's like, oh, you know, it's still like a superhero movie. So they don't want him killing the villain. So the villain by accident kills himself. That's kind of how the movie ends. But then it like leaves it at the note where James Franco's character, it's James, right? Not Dave, right? Yeah, James is like thinks that Spider-Man kills his dad, so you see this revengefulness and you can tell there's gonna be another movie. In some ways, this movie makes me mad just because I feel like some parts of it like doesn't feel right, like doesn't connect right. It doesn't feel like a superhero movie, but maybe also because this isn't technically a Marvel, this isn't technically a DC. Spider-Man has always been a little bit different where it's Sony, so it just kind of feels a little, it's not like compare that. And then I in a lot of my Supernatural reviews videos, I talk about saving the girl element. And so this definitely like had that as well. Like I feel like they just had MJ be such like a weak person. Like she always needs to be saved. She's like, saving me, Spider-Man, And it's just like, it's annoying. Anyway, I'm not gonna talk to her too much longer because we have 3 more videos talking about Spider-Man movies and so I can compare as well that. So the next movie we're actually watching is The Amazing Spider-Man from 2012 and it's the first Andrew Garfield movie. So if you comment down your thoughts about Spider-Man Blue and then watch Amazing Spider-Man for next week, if you don't see Andrew Garfield in it, you're watching the wrong movie. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, like, comment, subscribe, and bye.